think we are live. So welcome everyone. This is Frank Klesitz. We changed our normal time today. So we're early. We have a special guest, Dan Noma. He is projected, they currently do 350 deals a month. But by the end of the year, things just go according to plan of how they are. His brokerage will do 4,000 transactions, mainly in Phoenix, but a few other expansion markets. And you're going to get a first-class education today on what the consumer wants. I want you to pay very close attention to the messaging that the consumer wants to hear and giving the consumer what they want in a very competitive, iBuying, disruptive market. And Dan is someone I'm very excited to bring to you today. And you're going to get a lot of great knowledge here on giving the consumer, the homeowner, exactly what they want to sell. Should hopefully open up a lot of seller listing and seller opportunity for you. So my name is Frank Klesitz. We're in our hotel rooms today. Dan is down in Mexico City for an event, and I'm at an event as well. So we changed our time a bit, and hopefully we're gonna have a good interview today. But I'm Frank Klesitz. I'm the co-host of Keeping It Real. If you've been doing these shows for years, and if you want to go back and watch previous shows where all these in-depth interviews with top producers such as Dan all over the country and what they're doing to make money in real estate and residential real estate, watch. Go to keepingitreal.com. You can subscribe for updates of the show. Just put your email address in. We won't send you anything else. You can go get email updates of the show. You can also go to iTunes and subscribe to Keeping It Real, and you'll get notified that way. And also on the Real Geeks Facebook page, we post them there. The show is brought to you by Real Geeks. So if you're looking for a great CRM to manage all the leads that are going to come to you from what Dan's going to share today, go check out Real Geeks. But with that, like I said, I want to introduce Dan real quickly. On track, 4,000 transactions. Currently 350 transactions a month, mainly in a very hyper-competitive ground zero in Phoenix, Arizona, where like every disruptor goes that's trying to maybe change how real estate's bought or sold. And Dan's competing. He's competing at a very high level. And we're going to dive into that today on how you can take what he's doing and apply it in your business. So Dan, you ready to go, buddy?
I'm ready, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Of course.
So I'll catch, I know you well, so I'll catch the audience up to what you did real briefly. So you had a kind of more of a traditional brokerage.
Yep.
But realized that was a very difficult value proposition in Phoenix. So you decided to essentially file a DBA on your brokerage, to doing business as, to rebrand the whole brokerage. That if you're watching this interview, open up a new browser tab and go check out Easy Street Offers. Right, Dan?
Yep.
Now, that took some serious guts to take your own independent brokerage that had a brand for how many years?
Like 15 years before we started transacting this way.
So 15-year brand that you built on your own. It was your own name, your own baby.
Yep.
You said, you know what, this is not helping me, showing up as like a real estate agent or broker in the market. So you decided just to file a DBA on it. I mean, it's still infrastructure the same, but you need to rebrand it as Easy Street Offers. So go check out easystreetoffers.com, everyone. And tell me about that decision after 15 years as Venture REI to become Easy Street Offers and why you did that.
Yeah. Man, it really, kind of this journey started about 7 years ago when Open Door walked into my market. And, probably like a lot of other agents around the country, this old iBuyer phenomenon, I felt a little bit like they were here to take my job, right? I kind of thought that this was going to disrupt me and, they were going to push me out of the business. And I started really looking at their model, right? Like I just kind of sat down and I was like, okay, like how many houses are they actually buying? How many leads are they generating in order to purchase these homes? How many consumers are going there? How many are going without a real estate agent? And once I kind of quantified all these numbers, I said, all right, this isn't about us anymore, right? Like the game is kind of shifted from, real estate agent being the end all be all expert of information to now the consumer has so much information and so much data available to them that they were willing to at least try this instant offer option on their own, right? I mean, fast forward to today, Open Door this month or last month reported, now they're publicly trading. They reported they bought 4,000 homes around the country, but only 1,000 of those had a real estate agent attached to them. So the scary thing for me was that there was this huge number of consumers that were going direct to this instant offer idea. And, maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but they were at least willing to explore it. And so I said, okay, like if I set up easy street offers and I set up a world where a customer can come to me and I can give them that same experience, similar, and in my opinion, I think our process is even better or more consumer facing. Then I can compete. Like I can actually start to play this game with these guys, right? Like I'm looking in the eyes of the consumer, and that consumer wants something different. They're interested at least in exploring or raising their hand and saying, I might consider an instant offer on the sale of my home. And I figured, okay, well, like that's the new top of funnel. That's like the new place where I'm going to meet the consumer where they are. I'm just going to go there. That's where they're going. I'm going to go there with them. And so that was really why we made the decision to go down that road. It wasn't until we started transacting this way that I started to realize that the consumer really, really, really was interested in this. And not only that, they really appreciated the fact that they could see, what their options were before they had to make a selling decision, right? And then the other thing that was the biggest aha to me was the fact that, like, as we met with consumers, the things that I thought was important to them, right? Like I think when I got into real estate, somewhere along the line, someone told me that we had to sell the house and, list it sell it in the shortest period of time for the most money. And what I realized is that once I had conversations with customers, my feet under their kitchen table, that wasn't always it. And that, they were willing to give up some equity potentially for some level of convenience, right? Whether it was, flexibility on move dates, flexibility on close time, flexibility on, just the fact that they didn't have to deal with inspections or repairs or any of these things. I just don't think as an industry, we realized how important those items were for our customers until these iBuyers shed some light on that. And once they did, I was like, man, we got to do it. Like we have to go this way and at least give them this as an option. And that's really what we did.
That was had a lot of foresight for you because you made this shift how many years ago?
So, we really dove deep. About 7 years ago, I started playing with it. 6 years ago is when we, established Easy Street. That was like the first version of what we now call Easy Street Offers.
Which is a brilliant name, by the way.
Thanks.
Easy Street Offers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kudos to that.
Thanks. It's hard to find domains now, man.
That's a very good domain. But I want to share with the audience too, because you're so far in it. And I think there's some really key ahas here is that your old messaging was, I'm a real estate agent, give me a call, I'll list your home, we'll do the open house.
Yeah.
And I'll sell your home for the most amount of money, expose it to the most amount of buyers. And what they're hearing is the most number of strangers parading through my home, right? That's what they're hearing.
Yeah.
And your message wasn't really any different than anything else. But some of these disruptors, the iBuyers, started off in Phoenix. Yeah. And you're like, dude, they don't put the picture of the agent. Like your picture is not on any of your marketing.
No, I mean, my team never.
So
none of the trophies. No, we don't bring any of the trophies.
So you switched all the traditional real estate marketing.
Yeah.
You stripped your picture off of everything, and you basically took the same message that Zillow offers and OfferPad and Open Door. We're starting to put up in billboards in your market, basically with get a guaranteed offer, or get an instant offer, or sell your home now.
Yep.
And you realize that you couldn't do that under a traditional brokerage name because it confused the consumer.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. You couldn't do it. Yeah. So you had to do it under a totally separate DBA. And what I'm going to ask you next is I'm going to kind of take us through the whole process of how you market the message, how you convert the message, how you go on the appointments, and how the whole business is structured. But your marketing message shifted from, hey, maybe find out what your home is worth, or hire me as an agent. And the marketing message shift entirely to, I have a buyer for your home, call me.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, I have multiple buyers for your home, call me. And we could do this whole thing off market. And here's all the benefits of calling me because we can do this thing off market.
Right.
And when you switch that message, because no one else was really doing it other than the big names, no other agents, you found oil.
Oh, absolutely.
You found oil.
Yeah, it absolutely catapulted.
That one message shift
right.
of DBAing your company away from a traditional brokerage and just changing all of your messaging to, I have buyers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we know, I think like, I just had to swallow the pill that the consumer truly didn't care about all the trophies. They didn't care about how many transactions we had done. They didn't care, how good I was at listing a home traditionally in their specific neighborhood. What they cared about was what was in it for them. And the only way to expose that was by showing them all these different available options, right?
Mhm.
So, Easy Street, if you think of Easy Street, like it really, the way that I think about it is that I'm like, it's the Travelocity of real estate, right? I give the consumer a place where they can go, they can see all of their available options. Our only job is to educate the consumer on what these options are and what all of these things potentially could mean for them. We unlock a lot of things when we're having these conversations with customers. Like when I'm sharing these unique value propositions that the iBuyer technology groups are bringing a customer, it unlocks problems that they didn't even think about yet.
Yeah.
Right. And once I start solving those kind of problems, then I can really work with this person and figure out which option's best for them, and we just guide them along the process, right? Like I preach to my team all the time that this is not, we've gone away from a sales process, and we're in the information business. And our job is to provide them all this information and let the process simply guide the consumer to the right spot. And they will eventually transact. And, the other thing that I think we recognize, Frank, is like, historically, consumers don't really love real estate people, right? I think like we all kind of know that we're, in the eyes of the consumer, we've got some great real estate agents out there, but somewhere along the line, like we lost some credibility with consumers. And I think that was a big piece for the iBuyers. That was the reason that they decided that they were going to jump to our business. So, take that veil off, right? Like we don't need to be the end all be all of information anymore. We can
I just
be
think that's
something different.
so. I just have to share with the audience how incredibly guts and insightful that is of how consumer aligned you are, of ripping off any resemblance of marketing yourself as a traditional agent. Go check out easystreetoffers.com. And by doing that, you allowed your entire message to sellers to say, I have buyers.
Mhm.
Got it. Now we're going to get into the questions I know all you're asking is, how do I actually hook myself up with institutional buyers?
Mhm.
Not, local mom and pop investors that are going to give me lowball offers to the seller.
Yep.
We're talking institutional investors that have mountains of capital sitting in escrow accounts they have to deploy. And if they get 1 or 2 points return, they're happy and they'll pay asking price or higher for it right now in this market with so much capital, right?
Yep.
We're going to get into that. So I want to take this interview from kind of beginning to end so someone can understand the whole customer life cycle of
Sure.
how someone comes through your model.
Okay.
And then where people can go to model the same thing. Sound
Awesome.
good?
Yep.
So let's start with just marketing. Then we'll go into lead conversion. We'll go into the appointments and how we do the offers and all those things. So when it comes to marketing, the message,
Mhm.
why don't you give me the core message in all the ads that the consumer is hearing now from Easy Street Offers?
Yeah. The one that we're using right now is that we're going to show you all of your available options in one place, right? So when my ISAs are making outbound calls, the message to them is, hey, look, I've got a buyer for your home. In fact, I've got multiple buyers for your home. And, we don't want to come and sell your house. I'm not going to try to list your home. My objective is to show you what all of your available options are and let you decide. So compare, decide, sell is really the message.
Okay,
And,
got it.
we super focused on compare, right? Like we think that you should be an educated consumer. It's about them. We never talk about us in any of our outbound messaging. It's not about Easy Street Offers. We'll do this. It's about them, right? So everything about it says, we are going to simply just show you all these different available options. You get to compare. You're the consumer. Compare, decide, and sell.
And do you guys want to see some of that messaging? Just go to the Easy Street Offers Facebook page.
Mhm.
And you can go back on some of the videos and kind of see what the message that resonate with the consumers are that Dan's putting out.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to who you put that message in front of, let's take kind of all of Maricopa County. Is there a segment of the housing stock that responds best to this message? And what would that segment be that you want to kind of target this message to?
Definitely. I never claim to be a marketer. I leave that up to you guys. But for us, like what I look for, man, is
Dan, you do a really good job, dude. Like, I mean, boy, credit.
What I look for is people that have some sort of predictable event. Like for us, that's like the first layer of leads that I'll even look at. And I'm a data junkie, so I'm kind of generating our own lead. Like I'm always looking at like who we can find in the funnel. And, how can I get their data, and how can we potentially skip trace them, and how can I send them a message, either mail, direct mail, call, whatever. So for me, like right now, the best consumer, the best person that I can look to is, I like investors. Like, I like to work with landlords, and these guys have historically transacted at a higher volume. So for me, like, our biggest list, and this list in Phoenix happens to be about 2,000 leads a month for us. And these are landlords with leases expiring in the next 120 days.
Wow.
So landlords that, our MLS system is,
And your MLS has that data
our MLS
of
system
when it
has a
first came on
lot.
the market.
Yeah, it has a lot of data on, it has most of the rental product is listed on the MLS. And so I'm able to take all of that rental information and figure out who, I assume that they had a 1-year lease. And then I wait till that lease is getting ready to 120 days. So we tested this, and we said 90 days was too late. They've already started to have some conversations. 150 days, too much, right? They're not quite ready yet to even think about a decision, but 120 days seem to be that sweet spot. So 120 days before that lease is getting ready to expire, I know the landlord has an event. Something's going to happen. They either have to re-rent the house, and I could potentially guide them in a conversation about the new rental market and what their place should rent for. Or, I can go target, they're going to have to renovate the property and release it. Or maybe they're going to have to renovate and sell. Or maybe they're not going to do anything, right? Like, there's all kinds of different things that could happen. But I know there's something that's going to keep that property top of mind for them. And if I can hit that customer at the moment that they're going to have to make some sort of decision, right? And I can say to this landlord, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, I've got I know that you've got a lease that's getting ready to expire, and I have access to a buyer that wants to buy your home. In fact, I've got access to a couple buyers that really, really are actively asking me to reach out to you to potentially buy your home. Why don't you let me show you what all of your available options are? And ultimately, you decide. You don't have to do anything. And the worst case scenario, I'll just help you get some rental comps so you can decide what to re-rent your property for. But why don't you let me show you all these available options, and then we can talk about them, right? And then when I meet with that person, we simply just go over those options, and they're
Have
more
the
likely,
offers before you even meet with them,
yeah,
which
they're
we're
more
going to
likely
talk about.
they're more likely to do something. So the landlord for us is definitely the best lead source. If I think about like next level down of people, we like to circle prospect around iBuyer and institutional purchases. Right. So I will go, and every day we pull this data. So every time an iBuyer closes on a home, I pull I circle prospect 100 doors around that house. And we will circle prospect people that have owned their home for 5 years or more. And we measure their equity to figure out that they've got enough equity to potentially sell. And we call
80%.
them, with a very simple message. And we just say, hey, look, do you know what your neighbors did at 123 Main Street last night? They sold their property to one of these big institutional buyers. And they go, what the heck does that mean? And I go, yeah, that's interesting, but they got X for their home. They got, $450,000 for their home. And they go, wow, that's great. Good for them. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually connected to this institutional group. I would be more than happy to share that option with you. Now may not even be the right time to sell. But if it is, and if and when that time comes, I just want to show you what your options are and educate you as a consumer so that you can make the right decision. And the message that we're hitting them with right now is we go, look, these guys are paying that house at the time they sold it was worth $400,000. They sold it for $425,000. This may be the greatest time in history to sell your home. Let me at least show you what this option looks like, because you might miss the window, right? And so that's really been working for us as well.
It's very unique. The first list of having the expiring landlords, that's data most people don't have because you have to custom get that. So it gives you a little advantage. And this, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, in other markets, I've had that question asked, like, well, that's not available in my MLS. There's groups like CoreLogic. I know that Fidelity Farm has the data available. I mean, if you think about it, if you take a landlord list, right? So tax records that the property is listed as residential rental. take that list down and start data mining, right? Like know your market, right? I think we're like, as professionals, we need to know our market, so I keep a database of all, in my market, it's 400,000 landlords. So these are mom and pop landlords in our market. There's 400,000 of them. I just keep the data up, right? And so it's almost like a car payment. I just keep that every month. I go and I get rid of the people that sold their property. I add the new ones in. And then I can start to kind of predict when they're going to sign leases in their market, right? So sometimes they pop up. Sometimes I know. Sometimes I just simply don't know. But then we're still reaching out to them. And it's an incredibly powerful database to keep in your market. Is who the landlords are, and if you can get the data on when their leases are, the life cycle of their leases, that's a huge piece of data for your market.
Give me one more lead source for the audience. I love the circle prospecting around institutional sales and the landlords up for release. What's one more you give me?
The circle prospect and landlords. I mean, for us, it's, we also do billboard, radio, and television. Television for a long time for us was not, it didn't yield a whole lot of response, right? So when I was like a traditional agent, I was like saying, hey, I'm Dan, I'm great. Come work with me. I'm awesome. I got basically no leads from television doing it that way. But now what the power of television is really is around the fact that we can geofence it, right? So I work with a group that we actually geofence addresses, and we use digital television like Hulu and Peacock and all of these things. And what happens is now I'm able to send my message into the house, the exact house that I'm looking for, right? So I don't believe in like mass marketing and just blasting to the masses. But if I send my TV provider, I can give them 20,000 addresses. My television commercial is going to hit those 20,000 addresses specifically, right? So I could have two houses next door to each other, and one guy's getting that message and the other one's not. So the power of digital television has really changed the way that we use it. So, geofencing, whether you're geofencing for television, radio, or you're geofencing, even if you're just sending like direct mail, geofencing, if you're not using it, I think that would be a great place to think about for leads as well.
Cool. Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
So this message goes out to these homeowners saying, I have a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
I have multiple buyers. Give me a call. Yeah. So they call or they go to your easystrappers.com website. And hey, what's this message about you got this buyer for me, Dan? What is this nonsense?
Yeah.
How do you respond to that?
Yeah, we say, look, my client has actually asked me to reach out to you. They've asked me to reach out to you specifically. Like they're really interested in your home. They bought some others in the area. They're really interested in taking a look at your home. I can either do one of two things. I can just get you an offer and bring it over, and we'll have to meet and I'll have to show that to you. Or what I'd really like to do is I'd like to come out and I'd like to take some pictures of your home. I'd like to better understand the physical condition of your home, because that's the one thing I can't figure out right now because I've never been inside. I'd love to just take those photos, bring that information back to my client, and then get you a really educated offer on what they would actually be willing to pay. And, it's a cash offer, no contingencies. And at that point, the decision's yours. It doesn't cost you anything, no cost, no obligation to go through this process. We'll just walk you through these options and then you can decide. That's it.
So the agent would then go out, take some photos.
Yep.
How many photos do they take? What's the modus operandi there?
Yeah, so we've got what we call our photo taking guide. So we've got about 40 different photos that we need to take.
Wow.
They're not, these aren't marketing photos. These are photos of like the hot water tank and the serial number and sticker that are on the AC unit and the electrical panel, right? The thing that I learned about iBuyer and institution is that they are using computer algorithms, right? And if you don't give this computer good information, they have to assume that it's bad, right? So what I say like that is, when I started to get offers back from the iBuyers like Open Door and OfferPad and all these guys, is that I always see a line item for hot water tank replacement. And I was like, well, why? The hot water tank doesn't need to be replaced. It's not broken. And what I realized is that they just didn't know. So if they don't know, they have to assume the worst, which is fair, right? If they don't know the condition of it, they have to assume that it needs to be replaced. So I said, well, I'm just going to provide them this information, and that way they can be educated in it. And then we realized that our offers actually got more, I wouldn't say that the offer was higher. The offer is just more educated, right? So it's a more
And this is just
solid.
just an iPhone photos.
Yeah, that's it. So we take 40 different photos of areas of the home that we know that they're going to need, right? Under the sinks, the roof, the AC units, like I said, hot water tanks, flooring condition, all of those things we're taking into account. So it's about 40 photos. They just take them on their iPhones, and then we drop them into a link and send that off to our buyer, along with what we call a property condition report, which is, anybody that's done REO is probably familiar with the property condition report, or a BPO kind of a process. And the property condition report is just meant to give them an idea of the condition of each level of the property, right? So what's
you're
the
giving the
condition
iBuyer a professional BPO then?
Yeah. So we give them all the data that we can collect about the property, the appliances, are those appliances going to stay, backyard condition, pool pump, flooring, does it need to replace? Can the carpet be cleaned? All of those things help them in getting to a place where it's going to be the most educated offer. If I can remove the doubt, or I can remove a little bit of the uncertainty in their offer, in a lot of cases, I'm actually getting a higher offer for my client by doing that.
So agent goes out,
Yep.
goes through, gets the 40 photos, gets everything for the broker price opinion,
Yep.
BPO. I'm assuming they get a commission agreement.
So what we use is what I like to call my adult permission slip. So I call it the exclusive right to solicit offers agreement, right? So this was a big step for us in kind of a risky world, right? Thinking about that the consumer may not pay us, or we might leave ourselves open to some liability here, where with the consumer was, I didn't want to sign a listing agreement with the customer, right? Our entire message to them was that, this was no cost, no obligation, that they was going to show them all their available options first, then they could decide what they wanted to do. So when we started throwing a listing agreement in front of them before they could even look at the offers, we were met with a lot of opposition. It just didn't work. So I had to figure out a different way to do that. And so what we came up with was what we call our exclusive right to solicit offers agreement. The agreement is non-binding. It doesn't, there's no money exchange. In fact, in the agreement, we say that. And the agreement is only meant to, it's basically permission that, I can send to the iBuyer tech group, and I can say, hey, I've met with this customer. They're earnestly willing to take a look at your offer, and they've agreed to meet with me to allow me to present your offer. After I present the offer, this agreement expires. So it's the minute that I present that offer, the agreement expires. They don't owe me anything. And then if they decide to go down one of these roads, then at that point, we get into a commission agreement or a listing agreement with them. But I kind of use it in logic is like, if we were going to go into a used car dealership, Frank, and the used car dealer was going to tell you guys, that you had to sign a contract with them before you could test drive the cars.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
I don't think anybody would do it, right? And I think that's what we get, from a consumer world now. Even just,
but I feel like an application.
Yeah.
Non-binding something. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all it is, and so we make them sign. It's a front and back, 2-pager, exclusive right to solicit offers agreement, the property condition report, and then the photos, and that's all they're collecting at that first appointment with the seller.
Have you thought of maybe sending a runner up to do that, or
maybe
having the seller just do it themselves versus having to use the agent's time?
Yeah, that's what we're working on right now. So as you know, technology can be a little slow to build, but we've been working on what we're going to call our customer portal. I actually think we can do our entire process now virtually. And I jumped back out in the field about a month ago. Started, I do this occasionally where I will go out and I'll actually meet with consumers because I want to learn what they know. Like consumers get educated through like television, radio. I mean, all of the ads and things that they see from these other groups. So I just wanted to see what they knew now versus what they knew before. And what I learned is like, they really didn't want us in the house, right? I point blank asked customers and I said, if this first appointment process, if I was to just send you a link, would you fill this information out and would you upload these photos? And they were like, heck yeah. I'm like, is it uncomfortable that I'm here? Like, I don't love people coming in my home that, I don't know, or, maybe they're not friends or family or whatever. do you want me here? Like, really? And they go, no,
Yeah.
like, no, we would totally do this on our own. Like, so I think what we've got now is like the consumer's been trained to do this and other things, right? So now they're willing to do it in our world. And so, we're building our customer journey portal where we're going to allow them, they can do most of this on Easy Street now. So, I mean, you guys can go through Easy Street and you can
And
see
that is
how
one of the most, that's one of the most disruptive things I can think about happening. I mean, you're stripping out all the drive time
yeah,
of having the people drive around, where now you can do this all over an app, and then you do the presentation on Zoom.
totally. Yep. Yeah. So I started doing
And that allows you to scale to other markets. And
totally. Yep.
yeah,
So we believe the customer portal is kind of next step, right? And I kind of credit, I'll have to credit Open Door on this one when they started doing, this virtual assessment thing, right? And I was like, God, how are you guys doing this virtual assessment thing? They're not only having agents do the virtual assessments, they're allowing customers to do it, right? So they send them instructions on how they want to see this video assessment of the interior of the home. And the customer sends them back a link with the video assessment. And they're getting
all 40, they give you instructions for all 40 photos, and they get them all just right, because they want the highest offer. They're going to do a good job, I think.
Yeah, they're getting them every time, right? And you have some customers that don't, right? So if you go on our website, you'll see that there's an option where they can select that whether we want an agent to come out to the house or we'll do this on our own. And we just weren't pushing for the on their own until really about a month ago, when I started getting back out in the field and realized that how many people really, really wanted us to do this. So, I think, there's, kind of looking at the silver lining of what this COVID environment has brought us is that customers are willing to do some of these things virtually, right? They've gotten a lot more comfortable with this whole virtual piece. And for me as like a broker owner, and I'm looking at my team, I'm like, God, now I can save all this drive time.
Oh my goodness.
I can, my agent's butt can stay in the seat and they're going to be able to transact. I mean, potentially they could do
a lot more productive,
two or three times more transactions if I can just keep them here and they don't have to go out in the field. I mean, drive time is the worst. It's the biggest killer. And, I believe the next version of like iBuyer is on the buy side, right? On the purchase side of the transaction. And, the idea of like Uber for real estate agents, because it's so unproductive as a buyer's agent to be just driving around and opening doors, that I think you're going to see a whole different world in that too, but different topic, but that's the
dude. You're a wealth of knowledge. There's so much I can cover. By the way, I see some of your questions coming. If you have any questions for Dan, ask them now so they get in the queue, and I'll bring that up here later in the interview. Dan, thank you. Cool. All right, Dan. So you got the pictures, whether you went out there, sent a runner out, pictures are there.
Yep.
Now here's the question everyone wants to know. How do you get the relationships with these institutional, legitimate, make, real darn near market, if close to market price offer relationships, as opposed to having to know, Bob who buys, fix and flips in the market that lowballs the price?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the luxury of the market that we live in right now, right? So what I like to say, Frank, is, again, giving the consumer all available options. And the first place that we start is we go through all of the iBuyers, right? So you said it before, Phoenix is the hotbed of all the iBuyer and disruption.
What are the big ones? We got Open Door, OfferPad, Homey,
yep. Zillow
offers.
Yep. So those are the big ones, right? Those are the guys that they see on television. Those are the big hits. So I make sure to get all of those options for them, right? So when my agents are submitting for offers, we're submitting to all of those guys. And then in addition to that, we have found the institution, right? So a few, take you back to 2009, I started working with Invitation Homes, right? So I was the first broker for Invitation Homes. And I started working with them. And
by the way, congratulations on that. How many houses at that time did they ask you to purchase, just for the audience, for their enjoyment?
Year one, fund one was 2,000 homes. And
could you imagine getting that call? I need by 2,000 houses. I need by 2,000 houses.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I got into this, right? I mean, my job was to buy houses for institutions, and we could buy homes off the MLS. That's great, but I couldn't buy enough to whet their appetite. So I had to figure out ways to get direct to consumer. I mean, that was the whole reason that we're doing what we do. And
they gave you the funds to do it.
Yeah. So what I would say is like you the institutions aren't set up like iBuyers, right? These guys that are buying thousands of homes to rent, turning them into publicly traded REITs. They're not like iBuyers. They don't have submission portals where you can just submit to them and you get an offer back. But what they do have is they've got local brokers. So they have local brokers in the markets that they operate in. And you've got to find that network of those local brokers to be able to submit these properties to, because the people representing these institutions, they're eager for more opportunity, right? They're always eager and looking for more opportunity. In our environment, we've made that simple, right? So I work with this group called Renew. It's RENU. It's Renew Management. And Renew represents a number of these institutions, right? They've got a software system by which allows them to do automated underwriting for a lot of the institutions. And, these guys have a pedigree in this for, I think, almost 20 years now. And, a lot of your major institutions work with Renew. And so what we do is we submit to Renew on their platform, and Renew finds the best buyer for us, and then we get an offer back. And, the luxury, I guess, that we've got in our market is that I'm the Renew broker in my market. So
that's nice.
I get to submit to my own back end. But really, I mean, before Open Door came into the market, like, I was the iBuyer, right? I was the place where agents, the ones that were producing, they were sending us their opportunities pre-list, and I would give them an offer. And so
let me get this straight. So Renew is like this Expedia that went out to like all these separate institutions and created like a portal to submit the 40 photos, and then they would spit back out a legitimate offer. Is that right?
Right. Now, they don't, like, if you go on their website, they don't have like a submission page you can just directly submit to them. Again, this goes through like a localized Renew broker in that market. But, I do believe on their website now they've got, all
How many markets are they in?
I think it's 22 markets that they're operating in now.
What are some of the names of the buyers behind the scenes? Like, what are some of the names of the capital companies buying?
Big doors. So, a big one is Starwood. So Starwood Capital is, you guys probably have stayed in a Starwood hotel or used a Starwood credit card in your life. Starwood Capital is one of the biggest, companies in the world.
I mean, you hear Blackstone and BlackRock and
so
opening the newspaper, you hear about them buying whole subdivisions.
Yep. Blackstone, Invitation Homes, American Homes for Rent, Progress Residential, Pagaya is a new one based out of Tel Aviv. International Capital has gotten into the single family for rent space.
Is there any China capital or any from other foreign capital you see?
Yeah, there's a group that we work with in Boise called Asia Pacific Land. And so they're a big institutional hedge fund. Most of these guys have roots or, a backbone in Wall Street somewhere in New York City, but they are internationally based, or their capital's coming from around the world. The other big one is Fortress, and Fortress is just a behemoth, and they are in the single family for rent space now. So it's single family for rent from an institutional side is the fastest growing asset class in the country. Right now, the institutions only represent about a 3% market share in the single family for rent market, which means that 97% of consumers that own rental product are mom and pop investors. So the run rate that the institutions have, right? When the institutions look, like, we all know how things get institutionalized, they look for yield, places that they can drop capital and get some sort of yield, and then some sort of longevity or run rate that they can get on. And the fact that now they're in a market where they know that there's thousands of rentals available, right? There's thousands around the country. They just want to capture their piece of it. I mean, even if they got to say 20% of that market, that's like 12 million rentals, right? I mean, it's a staggering number of rental homes. Invitation's the biggest player in the game. Invitation's got somewhere around 300,000 homes.
And is that Blackstone?
So it was a Blackstone company. Invitation is now independent of Blackstone. They sold it actually about January of this year is when they gave, Blackstone was their capital partner. They gave back Blackstone all of their money. It was very public, and they gave Blackstone all their money. And, I think Blackstone reported that they like 5 or 6x their return on the investment with Invitation. So Invitation is their own independent firm now, publicly trading.
I believe the last time I read, they have 80,000 houses.
Oh no, they're quite a bit more than
More?
that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. In my market alone, I think they've got, say 25,000.
My goodness.
So yeah, I mean, they're about 300,000, something like that.
So I want to let everyone know that Dan has a product that he's put together called iReal Estate Pro. I'll share it for everyone, Dan.
Cool.
Just irep.com, right? IREP.
It's irealestatepro.com.
Okay, I'm
So,
sorry.
yep.
Letter I, realestatepro.com.
Yep.
And through there, you've set up a way and a portal for people to submit to the institutional buyers,
Yeah. Yeah. I
let
found that.
alone much more in-depth training on the system that you're teaching today.
Yeah. Yeah. We found it super clumsy, right? If you were to submit to Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow, all of these different companies, it would just take you a long time. Each submission could take you 15 or 20 minutes, right? So when I first launched iReal Estate Pro, which was really just education, it didn't have any kind of component that allowed an agent to save any time. It was just, I gave them direct access to these groups, but I didn't actually provide them a way to do it. So we built a tool inside of Dontna, inside of iRep, that we call Dontna. So Dontna is just an avatar, and she's the ultimate administrator. And what happens is, you as a real estate agent, you submit your property to this Dontna tool. And then there's an administrative team sitting behind Dontna that will submit to all of these different iBuyers and institutions on your behalf. So they use your phone number, your email address, all of your information.
Got it. So you have
they submit on your behalf. So we're not an aggregator. The iBuyers institutions don't like the word aggregator. It's a very ugly word. So in meeting with all of them, I realized that, they just didn't want someone to going out and shopping their offers against each other. And they didn't want me as an educator to stand between real estate agent and them. And so I had to create a way that, the agent could be direct to the buyer. And so Dontna allows that. And so an agent submits into Dontna, and the Dontna team uses all of their contact information. And it's really just a virtual admin. It's no different than if you had an admin sitting next to you, but they have access to all of the different buyers. And so think of them as the next Travelocity. They're sending all of these different buyers.
But you had to do it manually because they did not like the idea of someone automating that process.
No. Yeah. I mean, we've got some automations in how we do the submission process, but it's, right now, and the reason that this works, right, is Open Door is never going to get an offer from OfferPad. OfferPad's never going to work with Zillow, right? They're just not, they don't work in those ways. They're all independent, and they don't want their offer to be compared. But we, as the real estate agent, I believe that, like, our superhuman power, when all this dust settles, is that we are the ultimate aggregator. That is our power, right? You as a consumer can go directly to an institution, or you can go directly to OfferPad and you can get an offer, but you're getting one offer. If you meet with a real estate agent that has access to all of the different available options, well, now you're going to go get all these different available options, right? And you're going to be able to actually see all the different available options. You can compare them in a side-by-side format, apples to apples, figure out what your net proceeds are at the end of the day, look at all your unique value propositions that each one of these buyers offer you, and decide which best option works best for you, right? It was a super transparent way for us to handle that.
So let's break down what we got so far.
Yeah.
Stripping yourself off at any resemblance of a traditional broker off the messaging, going out to the marketplace saying, I have a buyer, I have a buyer, I have a buyer, I have a buyer, call me, I have a buyer.
Yeah.
Lead comes in, and it's not about going out and doing a listing presentation. It's about, no, I got to do research first.
Yeah.
So I can get you that accurate offer. So I need you to either submit photos on an app, or I can run someone out there, but I need like 40 photos, and I need all this information in your house. Information comes in, and then through this Dontna service you created, which is nothing more than like a systematized virtual assistant doing this.
Yep.
Sounds like.
Yep.
Is they go submit it to all the big names in the space, like the Open Doors and the OfferPads, and they go put it in. I would assume you call them up and they give you like a separate portal for this, or are you just literally putting it in like on the homepage of their website?
No, yeah. So that we have like direct links where they've created portals for us to do.
Got it. And your iRep would have something like that, or the agent would have to go negotiate that directly
Correct.
with these institutions or
Yep.
open door offer bed,
Yep.
etc. But you also submit that same those same pictures to all of the institutions that you mentioned here before
Right.
through the service that you built, because they don't have the nifty, easy way of doing it necessarily.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
How long is the turnaround before they spit back an offer?
Yeah. 48 hours. So, some are faster. Like Open Door, we're starting to get them instantly again. So I would say anywhere you're going to start getting offers within 24 hours. We always tell a customer that it's going to be 72 hours before we're actually going to schedule their second appointment.
Okay, so from the time I come out there
Yep.
to when we meet again to go over the offers, it's 3 days.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
So these offers come back. And are these like full blown like settlement sheets? Like, what do
No,
they look like? It's just a number.
Yeah, it's just a number, right? So when you get an offer back from, iBuyer institution, it's most of the time it's in an email format or a letter of intent type format, right? Where it says, here's our headline offer price. Here's our service fee that we're going to charge. Here's how commissions play. And then, oh, by the way, here's our 6 unique value propositions. So it comes over via email.
Now, I'm assuming at the same time, you're also running a kind of a traditional CMA to what it would look like if they actually sold it on the open market too, right?
You got it. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So now it's time for the second appointment.
Yep.
You drive out there, meet them at the home. Or I'm just curious, man, could this just be a Zoom call?
Yeah.
With all due respect.
No, totally. I started doing it, like it said, about a month ago. I mean, I didn't know until I didn't know, right? And I hadn't been out to meet a customer in, call it 18 months, where I was actually had my feet under a customer's table. So I went back out in the field and I started asking those questions, like, would this be okay for you? And they were like, yeah, I would love that. That would be great, right? So yeah, I started doing them via Zoom, right? So next week, I think we're now at 80% of our appointments next week are all via Zoom.
Oh my goodness. That's life changing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's life changing.
I'm with you, man. I mean, Phoenix.
How far were some of your people driving?
God, Phoenix is a big place. From my office in Scottsdale to say Surprise is like 50 minutes. And then, so you got to do the appointment. So it takes you 15 minutes to get out there, do the appointment. So let's say that's now you're 2 hours in, and then you got to get back.
Rush hour.
Yeah, then you got to get back, right? So you've spent 3 hours on one appointment. I'm going to be able to do that now in 30 minutes.
Dude, you're going to...
the other thing I love about like Zoom and this
change
virtual
the
thing,
game.
yeah, is it's less, well, it is a little bit less personal, right? But I think in the context of what we're doing, it works because, while we have some small talk or there's some, some getting to know each other kind of period in Zoom, I find that we kind of get right to the cut of what we're doing. And there's less in the emotions that are.
It's very efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. So I want to hear this presentation. So you show up for the second appointment after doing all the research and submitting the offers.
Yep.
And in Phoenix, roughly how many offers do you get in that market? Probably a good number versus other markets. How many offers do you get?
In this last month or so, we've been getting about 9. So we've been getting about 9 different options that we can submit. Yeah.
You show up with 9 offers,
9
plus
offers.
the CMA of what it'd be our traditional listing.
Yep.
And I would assume beforehand there's been some type of commission agreement. You get paid something in some way on every single one of those offers, depending on what they take.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. In some cases, like, so I'll maybe walk you through kind of what that looks like. We, as these offers are coming in, my team is building what we call a net sheet. So this net sheet is essentially, think of that as the Travelocity piece, right? So that's the simple side by side. We start with the traditional sale option, so the normal retail option. And the way that we talk about that with the customer is we say, look, we need one source of truth, or we need one sort of like thing to compare to. We can't start comparing things until we have one thing to compare to. So let's use this as the baseline. And traditionally, I think your home, I could list it for X. I would list it, my standard listing commission is Y, and your mortgage payoff is this. This is what I think your closing costs are estimated to be. And this is what we're estimating your net. This is going to be your net proceeds. And when I list your home traditionally, I'm going to have to put a lockbox on the house, sign in the yard, probably need to do some open houses. And, you're probably looking at in your neighborhood, you're probably going to get about, 15 showings before we get the offer that's you're interested in accepting. And then my team knows that I actually prefer all of the other technologies versus listing it traditionally. So the other thing we share with them is look, listing your home on the traditional market uses something that we're not super fans of, and that's wish and hope. I don't think wish and hope is a strategy. You called me here today to sell your home. And I'm telling you, if I list your home traditionally, that I'll sell it. It will happen. But I don't know who this buyer is yet. I don't know what the terms of their contract is going to look like. So this leaves wish and hope out for us, right?
And
So
if they have the money, contingencies,
yeah,
is it going to fall through?
Yeah, there's some uncertainties here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that segues perfectly into our next option. And for us, that's Opendoor. And so we go with Opendoor, who's the biggest player in our market. And, I get the Opendoor offer, and I put the Opendoor headline price in. I put the Opendoor service fee in. We explain the service fee and what that includes for the seller. I also share with them that Opendoor pays us 1 point. So Opendoor always pays us 1 point as a referral fee. So it reduces the amount that I have to charge you to do my service. And my service is now reduced from, we use a standard listing fee of 3%. So Opendoor is paying me 1. I'm going to put 2% on here. So now we're comparing apples to apples. I told you traditionally I listed it at 6% because I have to offer a buyer broker 3. So now I have equal commissions across both, right? Here's your closing costs. Here's your mortgage payoff. This is what you're going to net. And then we don't just stop at the number. So when we talk about iBuyer or technology or institution, we actually get really deep with the seller into the unique value proposition. So we say to them is, look, Opendoor offers you guys, included in their offer price is what they call their late checkout program. And the customer goes, well, what does that mean? I go, well, late checkout means that you can stay in the home for up to 48 hours post-closing so that you can transition into your destination property without having to have the stress of moving and closing on the same day of both houses. So you can now stay in your current home for up to 48 hours and transition into your destination property, wire money, closing funds, all of those things happen in that 48-hour period. So you're not having the stress of having to do all of that in the same day. And most of the time what they can say back to us is like, oh yeah, when we moved in here, we had the moving van waiting in our driveway so that we could move in this property, right? The other thing we share with them about Opendoor is I'll say to them, Opendoor lets you pick your close date. And right now you can pick that close date up to 90 days out, right? So in a market that has some uncertainty about where your destination could be, because it's a highly competitive buyer's marketplace, it might have some flexibility in the close date, might be really valuable to you guys, right? The idea that you can pick your own close date and that close date can float. We can move that close date up, we can move that close date back based on your timeline. And that offers you some flexibility. I was shocked, Frank, at how many people found that to be ultimately valuable. And so that's why they offer it. So we share that way. The next one we share down is we go to OfferPad, right? And I share with OfferPad. OfferPad also offers the late checkout program. They offer the flexible close date. And then in our market, what they also offer is a free local move. And, when I share with the customer that they're offering a free local move, they go, what the heck is a free, why would I care about a free local move? I'm like, man, here's the invoice of the last move that I had. When I moved locally, my move cost me $4,500, right? So if the delta between listing your property traditionally and this OfferPad offer is 4,000-ish, this actually truly nets you more. If you net out the entire whole transaction, including the move, they're gonna give you more money by doing this, right?
And move costs are through the roof, dude, now.
Yeah, that's why they do it.
Yeah, it's expensive right now.
It's great. Yeah. But most people don't think about it, right? And so now what's
until they
happening,
get the, yeah.
What's happening in the customer journey, Frank, is they're thinking of me differently than just a traditional real estate agent, right? Now I'm their trusted advisor. I'm advising them on stuff that's outside of the normal real estate transaction. I'm taking into account and I have the foresight to know that this is potentially going to be a problem for them. And they hadn't even identified it themselves, right? They didn't even know that it never equated to them that picking your own close date should or would be important to them until I identified it for them, right? So it shifts the consumer psyche significantly, right? I'm a consumer mindset guy or a mindset guy in general. I might be the only geek you ever meet that has a mindset coach. I actually studied like my mindset and consumer thinking. And like, the whole point is if I can start understanding how they're thinking, and I can start to deliver value in ways that other people aren't doing it, like that's my advantage. It's my competitive place.
Well, if they're talking to I would say a traditional agent at the same time, this is a night and day different experience.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then we go down the line, right? It's Zillow, and here's the Zillow offer, and same thing. Here's the Zillow convenience fee, and this is what that fee includes. And here is the unique things about Zillow, and here's my commission, and Zillow doesn't pay me anything. So in order for us to compare things apples to apples, I have to, here's our 3% listing broker's commission if you're going to sell your home to Zillow. And here's your mortgage payoff, and this is ultimately your net. And again, with Zillow, they're going to let you pick your close date. And the unique thing about Zillow is once they're finished with their inspection, they're done. There is no other inspections. There is nothing else. It's actually completely done. And we have now flexibility to go purchase your destination property. You know exactly how much money you're going to go shopping with. And then when we go institutionally, I think that's where for us, like we can change again, like we kind of take this customer through a different journey, right? They thought of us as the real estate agent that like practiced, and we had 90 hours of training, and now we're a real estate agent. But now I'm talking about institutional level investors and how they're actually changing the landscape of US real estate. And I say to them, look, I have access to some of the biggest institutions in the country. And these institutions are buying thousands of homes around the country. And this is what they do with them. They buy them, they roll them up into publicly traded REITs. And you as a consumer can now buy stock in these companies. And that's how you could deal with appreciation, or you can get appreciation. And we have this extensive conversation around what institutions do and why they're doing what they do. And then I say to them, look, there's 3 of them that made you an offer on your home. And they made you an offer on your home. And most agents aren't going to give you an offer from these guys. They just simply aren't. And so here's an offer from them in advance. I have direct access to every single one of them. And here's their offer. And this is what this offer means to you. And then we just go down the line, and we even get into, depending on like where the customer was at our first appointment, so we ask some qualifying questions at that first appointment. Like if they've got a home to buy, right? And they're saying to us that they want to, they're afraid to sell because they don't know what they're going to buy. Then that's when we start dripping in products like Knock, right? So I share with them the Knock product, and I say, look, Knock is an amazing product. And what Knock allows you to do is you can go purchase your destination property. Knock will give you a mortgage on that destination property. And then you can come back. They're actually going to give you $10,000 to renovate this home so that you can sell this home for top dollar. And then we can eventually convert your equity into your destination property. But now you're buying on your own terms, selling on your own terms, on your own timeline, getting top dollar in both places. And so they're just like, oh my God, I didn't know we could do this. Right?
Yeah, you have a solution or a weapon for every single possible pain point.
Right. Yeah,
and you've gone in a way that doesn't have any sales resistance about being sold.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're educating, right? So we come from a place of education. I'm giving them these options. And then ultimately, we just sit down with them and we start checking boxes, right? I mean, a lot of times we'll review an option with a customer and they're like, no, I don't like that. It doesn't work for me. So we actually have a physical net sheet that we bring, or we do this virtually. We'll just cross out the options and I start eliminating the options for them, right? Oh, okay, that doesn't work for you. And then when I'm finished with this journey, we go over all these 9 options. Maybe we've got 2 or 3 that are still contenders, and we just dive deeper into each one of those. And ultimately, the consumer just decides when they go, yeah, I think this is our best option. But I didn't do it. I didn't force them. I didn't say anything to them that made that happen. I just guided them through a journey of what all of their options were. And now they're empowered. Like they feel like an empowered consumer. It's no different than us, like when Amazon. The reason Amazon takes off is because we get to educate ourselves, pick our own, if it's paper towels, we get to look at all the different available options of paper towels. We get to read consumer reviews and educate ourselves. And then ultimately
the product's so complex, it needs a personal salesperson to walk it through.
Yeah.
It's so emotional.
So we spend a lot of time in our training of that second appointment. Like that is truly the secret sauce, right? I mean, and to be honest, Frank, like I find it a little bit difficult to train an agent that has been transacting traditionally for years to do our process. I actually find it easier to go after a newer agent that doesn't have any of these things. And what I'm finding is like the newer, younger agent, they're used to this. This is normal for them. They've been buying on Amazon. This is all they've ever known, right? So this to them is very, very normal.
Well, this is an entire process change. I'm thinking if someone's watching this with a, regular team traditionally doing things, it is a lot to just completely change your entire process and branding overnight.
Sure.
And it's almost like you have to start a separate division under a separate brand and run the two concurrently.
Yeah.
Follow me?
Yeah.
That's why I see that.
Yeah.
Let's get to some questions. So anyways, Dan, this is excellent. Wealth of knowledge. Thanks for doing this.
Of course, man.
I know you gotta get out of here. So can I get 5 more minutes out of you?
Yeah, for sure.
Or do you gotta go? All right,
No,
let's get a couple questions.
Okay.
Again, where are these offers coming in at? To market value? I'm just curious.
Oh yeah. So right now we're getting offers, even like the Zillows of the world, Open Door, they're offering they're offering more than what I could list the home for traditionally. So our offers, like if I look at all 9 offers, most of them are at what I would consider a market value, and some are over that market value number. So very rarely are we presenting offers or options to consumers that are low balls or 80% of ARV or, kind of these wholesale offers. We don't present those kind of offers to them. That's not in their best interest, right?
No.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to share? Because I don't want to go into too much detail with it, but just the commissions.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, you could be a little more specific for everyone on just how the commission structure works on this, because you're getting paid differently on all of them.
We do. Yeah. But if you net them out, right? So like, let's say, for example, like if you look at I'll take the big 2. So let's say it's OfferPad or Open Door and Zillow. Open Door pays us a 1% referral fee, right? So if I'm a traditional thinking agent and, my normal listing commission is 6%, or I'm offering a buyer broker 3%. Well, now my listing side commission is just 3. So if Open Door is the buyer's broker, well, they've already factored their 3% into their offer price. So that doesn't include, that's not part of our situation. So they're paying me 1% as a referral fee. Therefore, in order for me to be made whole and get to 3%, I just need to charge my seller 2% to be made whole in the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Zillow, on the other hand, doesn't offer a buyer broker commission or a buyer broker referral fee at all, or a seller broker referral fee at all. So in that situation, we have to charge the seller 3%, right? And ultimately, it boils down to their net, right? So what I try to do is when we present all of these available options, we try to make sure that they are as close to apples as possible. So if I'm charging them a 6% commission on the traditional sale option, then each one of these available options is going to have a 3% listing broker commission quantified into the deal. That makes sense.
I'm following you.
Okay.
Even some of the stuff so well, like I have to go back and like watch a second time and like study the transcripts. There's so much little nuggets of how this stuff works.
Yeah.
That's enough for the interview today. I know you have to go. So I just want to say, everyone, Dan's in Mexico City, everyone. He took time out this morning. I know some of you are at 6 a.m. on the Pacific time zone. Normally do this on Thursdays, and Dan came here and decided to do this. So Dan, thank you very much. All right. Of course, absolutely. That's plenty. You can go learn more about Dan's system at iRealEstatePro.com. Right, Dan?
Yes, sir.
And if you go Google on iTunes and YouTube, there's other great interviews that Dan has done that you can get more information from. If you want to watch this replay, it'll be right here on YouTube, everyone, for Keeping It Real. If you're looking for a CRM to manage all these leads and manage them through the pipeline, go check out Real Geeks. Go get yourself a demo. And if you want to watch any of the old replays, like I said, you can go to keepingitreal.com. And we've been doing these for years. And this is really good, Dan. I want to say thank you so much. I'm going to let you go.
Of course.
And we're going to end the interview here. And I want to say thank you, everyone, for attending.
All right. Thanks, Frank.
That's it.